Welcome to my farm. I am Shaira in Valtoribio from STEM 12 St. Patricia, and I'm going to present to you a brief discussion of how organelles of a typical cell function and how they relate to larger communities today. Through this, we will be able to visualize more how cells and its components work together and how they are interconnected with each other. In this cell analogy activity, I will be comparing the organelles of a typical eukaryotic cell and their functions with the different components of a real-life farm. However, allow me to present the 11 cell organelles to farm analogies, which will be used in this activity. So again, welcome to my farm. Okay, the first one is the nucleus, which represents the farmer. The second one is barn, which represents the nuclear membrane. The next one is the solar panel, which represents the chloroplast. The next one is the windmill, which represents the mitochondria. And the next one is the compost, which represents the lysosome. And the next one is the tractor, which represents the endoplasmic reticulum. And the next one is the pathway, which represents the cytoskeleton. And the next one is the delivery tract, which represents the Golgi apparatus. The next one is the pond, which represents the vacuole. The next one is the farm animals, which represent the ribosomes. So again, let's proceed with the farmer, which represents the nucleus. And for the first organelle, I will be discussing the analogy between the nucleus and the farmer. In cells, the nucleus is the brain of the cell itself. It is basically the one that controls all activities performed within the cell from nutrition up to the different biochemical processes. On the other hand, a farm is obviously run by none other than the farmer itself. Although the animals within the farm can feed and live alone, it is the farmer who provides them proper nutrition and care. At the same time, the farmer is also the one who manages and directs all the movements within his farm, meaning the nucleus and the farmer are alike in a sense that both these two are the governing units in their own community. The nucleus can be seen in plant cell and animal cell. The next one is barn, which represents the nuclear membrane. A barn is usually the lone structure found within farm. Just like the cell's nuclear membrane, the barn is most commonly found centrally placed in the farms. Just as how the cell membrane houses the nucleus and the nucleolus, which produces the ribosomes. The barn itself provides shelter for the farm, and it is also where the young animals are taken care of and tended before sending them out in the field. So, generally, these are essential structures housing the core components of the farm and the cell. The nuclear membrane can be seen in plant cell and animal cell. The next one is the farm animals, which represent the ribosomes. Ribosomes are small, numerous structures that synthesize the proteins, which are the major product of the cell. Farm animals can be easily compared to the cell's ribosomes. We must take note that in cells, the ribosomes are the small, numerous structures that synthesize the proteins, which are the major products of the cell. While here in farms, uh, these farm animals are also the numerous, either freely roaming or caged, components that produce the main product of the farm. Chickens and ducks lay eggs, cows and carabaos produce milk, sheep provide wool, and pigs and horses supply meat. These products are alike with the cell's protein. So, as with the animals, these are alike with the cell's ribosomes. Ribosomes can be seen in plant and animal cells. The next one is the tractor, which represents the endoplasmic reticulum. In a cell, the endoplasmic reticulum has multiple rows, and some of their notable roles are to assist in the synthesis of proteins and in their transport and to detoxify the cells from alcohols and lipids. Meanwhile, in a farm, a tractor is the main vehicle used by farmers to roam around the farm to collect and arrange the eggs, milk, wool, and meat, or simply the protein components together. Tractors are also often used to clear out paths, cut down bush, and flatten the soil, which in the case of the cells, the detoxification process. The endoplasmic reticulum can be seen in plant cell and animal cell. The next one is the delivery tract, which represent the Golgi apparatus. Once the endoplasmic reticulum collects the products, they are sent to the Golgi apparatus for the final packaging and sorting, and then, finally, for sending them out to whichever part of the cell they are needed. In farms, the delivery truck assists in the final packaging of the farm's products, sealing and arranging them into boxes and stocks before sending them out to the market. These trucks are where major arrangements and packaging take place. And once these are done, the farm's products are ready to be distributed in the market. The Golgi apparatus can be seen in plant cell and animal cells. The next one is the solar panels, which represent the chloroplast. Okay, what makes solar panels and chloroplasts alike is that they both have the ability to utilize the sun's light energy to make functional, usable energy for consumers. Photosynthetic cells are able to harness light energy and convert this through multiple chemical reactions into cellular energy and food. On the other hand, farms, especially those that do not have ample electric supply, can depend on solar panels for energy requirements. Solar panels can also harness light energy and produce electricity to power and sustain the farm's electrical needs. The chloroplast can be seen in plant cell only. The next one is windmills, which represent the mitochondria. Just like the previous, this analogy is also a type of energy manufacturing structure. Windmills and mitochondria are exactly the farm and cell's major energy sources. Respectively, they both have the capacity to produce large quantities of energy for the farm. Mitochondria and windmills can convert molecules and wind, respectively, into energy. So the mitochondria can be seen in plant cell and animal cell. The next one is compost, which represent the lysosomes. Lysosomes is one of the most interesting cell organisms. These small structures, which are found roaming in the cell, have the ability to break down large molecules into smaller molecules and digest worn-out organelles to make their components available again for consumption. Apparently, a farm's compost is the same. It is where dead animals and plant products are dumped and stored. Also, chemicals, which are the hydrolytic enzymes of the lysosomes, can also be added to the compost for better and faster decomposition. Ultimately, both these two can convert unusable or worn-out materials into reusable nutrients. The lysosomes can be seen in plant cell and animal cell. The next one is pond, which represents the vacuole. In both cells and farms, the vacuoles and the ponds are the major sources and storages of water, respectively. Aside from the water itself, the pond, same as with the vacuole, also hold a significant amount of minerals and ions, which benefit all the components within the farm. This is basically a self-explanatory analogy of two main water storage structures. Vacuole can be seen in plant cell and animal cell. The next one is pots in the farm, which represent the cytoskeleton. The major roles of the cytoskeleton in a cell is to provide structure and strength. In farms, although its pots cannot give strength, these pots can outline the structure and the shape of the farm. Furthermore, the network of the cytoskeleton inside the cell is where molecules, organelles, and other objects attach during movements. That said, cytoskeleton facilitates the movements of materials within the cell. Well, that is also the case for the pots in a farm. These pots guide the farmers and other people in roaming around the farm. The cages and fences inside guiding the animals can also be regarded as an analogy to the cytoskeleton. Cytoskeleton can be seen in plant cell and animal cell. Let's proceed to the last part. The farm fences, which represent the cell wall and cell membrane. The function of these two is cell membrane allows the entry of some substances like water, oxygen, and ions, and prevent the entry of foreign substances. Cell wall is an additional boundary aside from the cell membrane. Lastly, I will be talking about the analogous relationship between the farm fences and the cell's outer layers, which is the cell membrane and the cell wall. In both the cell and farm, these structures are exactly the ones that border the farm and the cell and separate them from other external structures. Any object within the fence and cell membrane and cell wall are properties of the cell, while all those that are outside are not components of the system. Similarly, cell walls and membranes have membrane proteins and farm fences have gates that can both serve as entry and exit points for objects in and out of the system. Lastly, aside from the fact that these structures safeguard and protect their own communities, they also have the unique ability to not let anyone or anything pass through in and out of the cell and the farm. The cell wall can be seen only in plant cells, while the cell membrane can be seen in plant cell and animal cells. So that's the 11 organelles. So that's the end. Life is only full of surprises. Who would have thought that the microscopic structures of the cells, which we struggle to observe under the microscope, can be easily visualized in larger communities? We do not always have to struggle and find a hard time in studying biology. Instead, we just have to learn the concepts of biology, and then surprisingly, we would be able to realize and appreciate that whatever we see around us are just larger representations of what are within our system and what are taking place on the inside.